Good morning. I think you guys are on mute.
Yep, we are.
How are you?
Good. I'm gonna switch and give the mic over to Dennis and then we'll get started. So.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll get rolling. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of the meeting. A roll call, I guess, Ken called me that he won't make it. Looks like everybody else is here. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, as far as the minutes from the April 24th meeting. Have a motion on that. Thank you.
No, second that.
So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now we're down to correspondence.
I don't have any record of any.
Okay, next is administrative department report. Chris?
Yeah, included in the packet is some updates in writing, but I'll provide just a little bit of context for a couple of them. For myself, it has been a busy, basically March, April, and May with a number of new staff and new positions coming on board. Some of them vacant and some of them short term. So working through that. Where that impacts, there's a couple of ways that impacts Waupaca County. The last meeting, I introduced Amy in her community development role at 0.6. So approximately 3 days a week. We've also, because of that, we had an opportunity to work with HR. Emily Schaefer is going to join us as a program assistant at a 0.6. So she will basically at 0.6 means she'll be here for part days for 5 days a week to help provide office coverage and do some of those tasks. And then we have the team works together coverage, somebody has vacation or appointments or things like that. So welcome with Emily, brings definitely bringing a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the role. So really really have enjoyed working with her. Also, as far as staffing, this week, Penny is going to be doing some onboarding with her summer 4-H program assistant. So this is an individual, many cases a student, that will assist with providing some capacity to 4-H programs throughout the year. And that individual is Macy Popple. So she'll be coming in, working a number of hours throughout the summer, helping in areas such as camp or other day camps when Penny has some other things that just add additional capacity. Plus, it gives Macy an opportunity to experience what life in an extension office or in a county department are. So just some career potential awareness. Looking forward. So looking forward to welcoming Macy. I haven't had an opportunity to meet Macy yet, so I'm looking forward to that in the near future. When we get a little bit as we go a little bit, Amy's going to give an update on something. She submitted a written report, but she also has some additional updates, plus a little more of an introduction about herself and some of the things that she's looking forward to in with the educator updates. So those are kind of the big picture pieces with our staffing. One of the things to update, we have a functioning virtual connections space and or hybrid space in room 1016. So one of the reasons I let you know is if for some reason you have a back-to-back or something that we have an additional space. Flat screen TVs are fairly inexpensive. And right now, a couple of cords and a loaner laptop allows us to be able to hook up and set so that anybody in that room 1016 probably has a table about these four pushed together. So it's a conference room type table. But now we have the opportunity to connect hybrid or remote. The other piece is that intentionally set it up so that there is a whiteboard, so that if there is, communicate, want to jot some notes or things like that, we're, utilizing that space. Really, the TV was the only thing that needed to be purchased, and a couple of cords. We're utilizing stuff that we mostly had on hand to be able to connect. And today as a staff, we're just going to do a walkthrough and identify what we have and how it would work now, and then possibly identify, hey, wouldn't it be nice if, and see and explore if we have the budget capability to add on to make it even more usable. So I've identified some ideas in my head, but I want to see what the other rest of the staff are doing. And I have no idea what the regional crops and dairy educator position scope update. Oh, now I do. So I did want to just put this out there that I am learning a little bit more, and I will bring any updates. That one of the things that we are aware of is that after Greg Blondie retired, and about that same time period right after we were emerging from the pandemic response, that the way that ag outreach education was staffed or was in a model that was rolling out and was staffed a little bit differently. Through the budget process, it was decided that was not a route that Waupaca County wanted to go. Through a number of things, I guess I just want to make some general awareness. I'm learning and having conversation coming up in June with the Ag Institute director and the program managers in both their dairy and livestock, and then crops and soils, plus some other AEDs. So my peers that have regional educators to chat and talk about the model and see if there are some tweaks and some other pieces that we would be able to look that might make a different decision point for Waupaca County as far as potentially investing, not necessarily for the 2024 budget, maybe not, but looking at whenever it would be feasible, if there are some surrounding counties that might have some mutual interest in looking at that. So I just wanted to keep you in loop. Some of the pieces is funding equity for mileage, trying to balance that out between counties, kind of the haves and have-nots, but also looking at the scope and how the programming is, and providing a increased opportunity for county-focused programming, as opposed to how the model was originally rolled out, and it was kind of set within a very specific set of guardrails. So just something that I will continue to keep you up to date on, but it looks like there may be some changes that I at least will want to share to allow you to make allow this group to make some decisions about what some suggestions might be, and then looking at it for what might be in the best interest of using the limited resources that the county has, and the impact that it could have in the community. So definitely that there's a balance. So I just wanted to make you aware that there are some conversations that are happening. I don't know the full breadth and scope. That's why I'm attending some meetings and conversations to find out more about what it might work, how that might work. But before we got too far ahead of it, I just wanted to just give you an update that there might be some interesting information moving forward. So And that's my report. Any questions?
Covers your entire.
Yeah, so the only other, well, the one other small thing is effective on June 1, I included that. After many years, after a handful of years of working with our divisional educational technology, we finally worked with the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So this is the big university to determine a path forward so that our county program assistants and county program staff that are a large portion of their work is engaging with extension work and extension staff. We had a real mishmash or an imbalance because our extension staff had access to a suite of tools, and in many cases were expected to use certain suites of tools and had organizational expectations. But the program staff, so Haley and Emily, Amy got grandfathered. She got upgraded when she was became a UW staffer part-time. Had very limited use, and in many cases it was guest access, so that it wasn't quite the same. Beginning on June 1, we have an opportunity for all of our program staff to receive what's called a $0 appointment. So basically it means they're going to be able to, they're recognized as a significant partner to the university. And as such, they have access to about 90% of the resources at the same user levels, meaning that it enhances communication and collaboration. And in some cases, just overall productivity, because there's some advantageous software that from a cloud perspective that's used. Now, our staff, our team has always used the UW email and the UW calendar, but there will be even more features that they'll have access to and be able to have deeper usage. So this is one of those pieces that this is at no expense to the county. This is part of just the partnership and the collaboration that we have. And I guess as a team, or at least I'm excited to see and explore about are there any efficiencies or roadblocks that we had that we're able to either, that are now removed, or workarounds are a lot shorter, quicker as we go. So couple of new changes. There's one more cybersecurity training that they'll have to take. The last one I took, it was like I did it in 8 minutes, maybe 9 minutes. So it was pretty common sense. And then they'll also have what's called multi-factor authentication. So they'll have to have another way of proving that they're themselves when they log in. So whether using an app on a phone or a little fob that gives a super secret code number, but do that. But that's again provided at university expense. So I'm excited about that. The only downfall is right now. It doesn't include the Adobe suite. That's the only one tool that is probably one that would get used quite a bit, but it boils down to licensing, and those licenses are always negotiated. And so there is the possibility that might be added at some point. So.
Chris, at work, they've like doubled or tripled the price of Adobe. So we're actually keeping, I think like maybe one Adobe and then going to something that's similar to it for the average, but like our advertising people and stuff. I was just amazed how expensive that is. And this year that is like doubled and tripled in price. Yeah,
and I recognize that, and that might have something, in the way that when the contract is negotiated, there might be even some things that I could see where
might get a better price
or something. I know that it's similar in my daughter's line of work, working for an ad agency. Only certain groups get the Adobe suite, and then everyone else uses workarounds or the free tools to be able to because of the expense. I can't
remember the name of the other one that's out there, but that's what some of the other co-ops have been using. It's pretty similar to it, but it's pricey. Yeah,
it is, and for those that have had an opportunity to listen to Brent, IT director, to give a synopsis, really we used to be able to have site licenses, which you paid a fee, and everyone was either use the same code, or we had a physical piece of software or a disk, or that could then be loaded on in multiple instances. And really what it is the new subscription service is it's really tracking per user, in some cases per device, depending on what the software is, and that's where the expense goes. The expense goes out. So now I'm done, Dennis.
Okay. Okay, then we'll go on to educator reports. Tiffany, you're on.
Thank you. Let's see. So I should be able to, I can share screen. Give me a
Yep.
second. Let me hide these guys. Can you see the presentation okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to present. Sorry, I know it's been a few months since I've seen you guys in person. Combination of scheduling conflicts, as well as I think I was out sick a few of those meeting times. But yeah, I'm just really eager to update you on lifespan and financial security and how it's been going, since, as you know, this is a new role for the county. So lots of opportunity there. So I'm just going to do an overview of the environmental scan that I did in the last few months, as well as some of my programming updates, both stuff that I've already done and then plans for the future. So before we start, just a little primer here, because I had to learn this, even though I saw my job description, I thought I knew what it meant, but it's evolved as I've found myself in this role. Just want to let people know the term lifespan, right? Literal meaning, birth to death, conception to death. Academic meaning, older adult population. So I've run into some confusion sometimes when talking to potential, community members or stakeholders, partner organizations, just what exactly does lifespan encompass? So typically for us, for UW-Madison's lifespan program, we are looking at our target audience is 55 years and older, and caregivers for older adults specifically. And this is sort of evolved as well. I know they're about to put out the new lifespan plan of work for our program for this year. I think even this week, actually. So we have 4 main priorities with our lifespan program. First and foremost is caregiver education and support, just making sure caregivers in the community have their needs met, have resources, and we have a community that's supportive of them. Second is fostering social connectedness in the community. So mitigating isolation and loneliness, helping seniors to connect to one another. Third is helping to increase the number of people who are doing end of life or future planning. And of course, any age can do this. I'm in my 40s and I found myself doing this much sooner than I had expected, but officially within our program, we say 18 and older. So while our target audience might be 55 and older, that doesn't mean other people in the community aren't welcome to attend and that you can't promote it. Say, if you know about upcoming lifespan programming, please do promote it. Especially since, as we all know, or I think we do, end of life planning, it really is a family adventure, let's say. Last main priority for lifespan programming for UW-Madison Extension is creating aging-friendly communities. And this isn't just delivering this direct education to seniors, but it's also trying to be involved in coalitions and committees. So I've been exploring that landscape too, just trying to get myself out there and meet some of the main partner organizations that we could potentially collaborate with. So my secondary program, right? So my primary is lifespan, should be roughly about 60% of my time devoted to that programming. My secondary is financial security. That's another term that I found a lot of, befuddled looks when I said, oh, financial security educator. Basically, it's a new way of saying financial literacy. So, helping people to create, individuals, families, members of the community to create financial health and well-being for themselves. So not just, or rather not, people a lot of times hear financial and they think financial planning. It's not financial planning. It's not helping people look at stocks or, diversifying their portfolio. It's none of that. It's just like basic financial literacy, helping people to budget, become financially solvent. And there's several, 3 main priorities here. One, strengthening individual and family financial well-being, financial health and inclusion. 2 is strengthening community networks to build financial health and inclusion. And 3 is helping people with essential skills, development, and workplace readiness. So this is a robust program all on its own. Some counties actually have this as their primary focus. And I want you to keep this in mind as I kind of go over some of my environmental scan findings, because the way we're doing our onboarding is we don't have our educators necessarily focus on that secondary part of their programming in their initial months. I'm just only almost 7 months in now, I think, from date of hire. So they tend to focus on their primary. So I did not do a specific financial kind of overview, lay of the land, but it came up a lot when meeting with lifespan stakeholders. So who were the lifespan stakeholders that I met with? Well, I met with 12 different people from 7 different organizations. The Aging and Disability Resource Center, the ADRC, right, which is currently that consortium model with Calumet, Outagamie, and Waupaca counties. Though my understanding is Waupaca, I think, is going to go to separate at the start of the new year. So I met with Nancy Kruger, who's the Health and Wellness Coordinator for the ADRC. And I think she's over, is she in Outagamie? I think so. But she does a lot of the programming, like at the senior center and whatnot. I met with Melissa from the ADRC in Waupaca County. I met with Megan Hintz as well. I met with Laura Colbert, the director for Parks and Rec for the city of Waupaca, and with sorry, drawing a blank there for a second, Andrea Wanti, also at the senior center for their programming. I met with several folks from the Waupaca Public Library, which they don't necessarily market stuff, for seniors per se, but I'm sure you've all been to a lot of their amazing programming. There are a lot of, older adults who like to attend, and they do factor that into what they choose to host there. I also met with a couple of folks from, Department of Health and Human Services, with Jed from Public Health, with Shauna Hansen from Family and Community Services. I met with Jesse Cuff up in the Veteran Services Office. A lot of need, so much need. I met with Theta Care, the Community Health Action Team, just to try to see, what opportunities there were. So in addition to meeting with all of these lovely, dedicated people who are really eager to collaborate, I also took a look at their annual reports. So I looked at the Community Health Assessment, the Community Health Improvement Plan, both for the county as well as for Theta Care for the chat teams. And I looked at, like the aging plan for the county, looked at, the Veteran Services annual report, and I tried to factor all of that in. So today, this is just a snapshot, a synopsis sort of like overview of what's going on, I think, in that lifespan landscape in Waupaca County. But I do have a much longer report that I'm hoping to finish and provide you guys if you are interested in reading it. So what were my findings? This is probably stuff we already saw, we've seen in these various reports if we've been, reviewing them. But social isolation and loneliness was definitely a top thing I heard. Now, remember, I'm talking to lifespan partners specifically, all those organizations I mentioned. So, they're working with seniors, and this is something that they're finding. Financial need, while I wasn't asking specific questions about it, it came up time and time again. Being able to afford the basic cost of living, meaning food, housing, transportation, all of those things came up repeatedly. And I am eager I put this in my environmental scan report. I am eager to look at the financial security needs of the county a little bit more. One of the things I saw, and I think we probably mentioned our civil rights review, was 30% of Waupaca County is living in above federal poverty level, but below the ALICE threshold, right? Asset limited income constrained. So basically still not enough to afford basic cost of living in modern times. So there's definitely a need for these services there. And a lot of our community partners are already working on providing them. Environmental scan, for anyone who's not familiar with that term, is basically looking at something and trying to identify the gaps, looking at trends and trying to figure out the trajectory and like where could we potentially dovetail our efforts and fit our programming in. Falls was another one that I think as we get older, it's something that becomes much more prevalent and much more concerning. And there's certainly fatalities associated, premature mortality associated with falls. Now, I put it on here on this list as something I found, but it's not something that I would be addressing per se with target outcomes for lifespan programming. What that means, and this is something I've spent the last 6 months learning, just because I am teaching a class to seniors and they're over that 55, years of age, doesn't necessarily mean I'm meeting target outcomes, those 4 main outcomes we mentioned, social connectedness and whatnot. So fall prevention is something we cover in one of our core programs within the lifespan program. Aging Mastery has a week, I think, that talks about fall prevention, but I wouldn't necessarily be, providing direct education, a fall prevention program like stepping on Some of this would fall more under one of our counterparts, you know, the Health and Wellbeing Institute, whereas for me, it'd be focusing on this other stuff that I'm going to go into. Preventing and managing chronic conditions was something that came up a lot. Again, this would be Health and Wellbeing Institute. It wouldn't be under lifespan, but within our aging mastery program that we do, is evidence-based, you know, aging well, like healthy diet, healthy nutrition. Each week has a different topic, but I wouldn't be delivering some of the amazing education that's already out there, say at the senior center, you know, diabetes education specifically, or how to manage your high blood pressure. Just to give you some background on that. Caregiver support, that was another top need, especially most of the ADRC mentioned this one a lot. So I'll discuss in a few minutes some of the future collaborations we're talking about for that. Lack of access and technology, as well as the knowledge on how to use technology they already have. That's a big one. And I think perhaps, Amy, this is where, you know, Jessica, and now you know, doing stuff with community development can really help to move the needle on it. That's not part of my target outcomes, but it definitely directly impacts lifespan programming. The senior center I know has 8 iPads that they're willing to loan out. I'm very pro IT because I think, you know, it helps people who might not be able to get out of their house, especially, you know, my target demographic of 55 and older. But a lot of them, again, they don't know how to use hardware they might already have, or they don't have access to it. So I think it'd be great to provide collaborations and kind of look into that more in depth. Lastly, fraud prevention. I talked about it with most of my stakeholders, but this one I just want to disclose. I had told them that I was doing a fraud prevention program, so it didn't kind of come up organically per se. But when I talked to Jesse up in Veterans Services about it, there definitely was a huge need around, like, you know, elder fraud prevention programming and education and resources. So that would fall under my financial security umbrella, which is my secondary. But yeah, I'll talk about programming in a second. You'll see I have already done some work on that. So program updates, these are the programs that I've been up to, or outreach efforts. So why is Wisconsin series? I don't know if any of you have attended this. This is a lifespan, it's a core program. I think we've been doing it for 3 winters now. It runs in February and March, so I think it's about 8 weeks. Every week's a different topic. It doesn't say senior in the title, but it is definitely targeting seniors and trying to give them a place to connect online virtually to one another, to learn more about self-care, to learn about these interesting different topics. It has diverse topics, anything from, you know, container gardening to celebrating nature to, you know, preventing hearing loss, you know, in older age, to advanced directives, medical and legal directives, to scam prevention, which is next slide, I think, the program that I ended up creating and co-creating and delivering. I put the link here, and I'm not sure if Amy shared the PowerPoint. If it's too big, I can try to whittle it down so we can share it. But this link here goes to all the recordings for former programming. And then when we get the new ones slated for spring, it will be up there as well. Definitely encourage you to check this out. Usually we have around, you know, 40, 50 people who come, and they come from all over Wisconsin. And it's just a really nice, lively group, lots of great questions. And I know we've gotten really good feedback on it. So yes, that was my maiden voyage in delivering outreach, you know, doing programming in the community. Was myself and then a facilitator an educator down in Iowa County who's been with UW for extension for a long time. We co-created and we co-facilitated a senior fraud prevention program. I learned a lot in this. It's a scary, scary world out there. There's a lot of attempted fraud. There's a lot of successful fraud, unfortunately, for seniors. I talked to maybe just 10 people, you know, at work and personal life, and then colleagues and stuff about this talk when it was coming up, and everybody's life had been touched by a scam somehow. So there's definitely a need in Waupaca. We had 46 participants in our presentation. Here's just some survey data. 83% strongly agreed they will use at least one skill or tool that they learned during the session. And then 67% strongly agreed that attending the session made them feel more connected to other people. As well as 67% strongly agreed that attending the session provided them with skills or knowledge to be more connected with others. So again, the goal of this programming isn't just to reach our target audience of seniors, but to help them with that target outcome we have of like fostering social connection in the community. So again, that virtual platform is really invaluable for that. So senior scam prevention, once people heard that I had done this, then people were interested. So Melissa at ADRC had put in a request if I could deliver kind of a bird's eye view and overview of this elder fraud prevention presentation I'd done to the interagency team for prevention of elder abuse in Waupaca County, kind of in preparation for, I think it's June 15th is Elder Abuse Prevention Day. I think it's an international day that they do. And so I said, sure, absolutely. So we had 14 attendees. We had social workers from Adult Protective Services. We had representatives from CAP services, law enforcement, and I think some of the directors from the local banks and stuff. It was a very lively discussion. I learned a lot about fraud in Waupaca County. I mean, the banks are saying they get fraud attempts every single day. Sometimes, I mean, some people even have to actually stop their account because they know they're basically sending money, like for the romance scams and stuff, they're sending money and they're being defrauded, but you know, the heart wants what the heart wants, right? So I think there's, and you know, I asked the people that were in this lecture I gave, I said, do you feel like loneliness is what's leading to this, you know, this vulnerability? And I think there was sort of consensus in our group that in fact it was. So again, going back to those target outcomes with lifespan programming, I think there's a lot we can do to help seniors from being defrauded in our community. Let's see. I also had a table representing UW-Madison Extension, Waupaca County at the annual Caregiver Coalition Resource Fair. This was the first one that they had put on. It was at the Waupaca Senior Center. The first one they'd put on since pre-COVID, so I think 3 years. So I was happy to see anybody, you know, coming through the doors, and they had some education as well. I personally spoke with probably about 30 people, just community members, and then an additional 15 people who were, you know, vendors who had tables such as the ADRC or King, you know, the Veterans Home. So tried to make some good connections. It was really great to be out there in the community. It gave away, you know, some UW Extension logoed stuff just to kind of keep that seed planted. And I also asked people, I gave out marketing flyers for my upcoming lifespan programming, which I'll talk about in a second, and asked, you know, who was interested in possibly, you know, being contacted about when these courses run. So I got 16 folks to sign up, which I thought out of 30 is not bad. Okay, next thing that I did was in April, I delivered an advanced medical and legal directives, kind of like a mini lecture, you know, 90 minutes to the HC, Home and Community Educators of Waupaca County, which if you're not already in or familiar with, fantastic group. I had 13 attendees. Everybody was female, you know, in this particular session, but, you know, folks came out on a Monday afternoon. I put a little heat map here that came from all over Waupaca County. So I don't know if you can read the screen, but 4 folks from Clintonville, 2 from Manawa, 1 from the city of Waupaca, 2 from Waupaca, and 4 from the Fremont-Reedsville area. So I thought it was decent turnout, you know, kind of from like a diverse set of places. Everybody was really engaged. Again, I learned a lot about kind of just what are folks' needs in the county around, you know, end of life planning. You hear a lot of stories in those sessions that are really inspirational and want to deliver more of this type of education, because there's a lot people don't know about, you know, financial power of attorney. They thought they only needed health power of attorney, and things like that. And people expressed interest in future programming because they said, oh, this is just an excerpt from Planning Ahead, which is a 7-week course that I will be co-facilitating virtually with 2 of my colleagues from Outagamie and Winnebago. I also, and I think Amy, did you print out the HCE, I see it.
I did, yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Awesome. So if you want to take a look at that, and then can you see my screen still? Okay,
Yes.
so I just did this little post evaluation. So this was the demographic data from the HC participants for that talk. And just to see like, oh, you know, 80% of participants, you know, the 3-month goals include making end of life wishes known. And a lot of people really struggled with families, like how do they, you know, share with their loved ones, you know, end of life planning. It's not always an easy topic to talk about. People's kids don't want to talk about, you know, parents, you know, passing on. So yeah, it was just, you know, and I had some questions down here too. You know, 100% of the people who attended said they plan to move forward with planning. Now, I didn't create this survey, this is pre-existing. So this doesn't necessarily say, well, was it 80% before the talk that we're planning on doing it, and now it's 100%? So not 100% sure about this survey questionnaire. Might see if we can tweak that in the future. But yeah, check out that report when you have a chance. So that presentation was an excerpt that one of my colleagues, who's very familiar with end of life planning. She had created, and she took it from Planning Ahead largely, which is a 7-week program. It's one of our core lifespan programs. It's research-based programs out of UW-Madison. And this really helps people to go through, you can kind of see on the side here, handling financial changes, advanced medical and legal directives, estate planning, choices in end-of-life care, final wishes, understanding grief, all of these topics over the course of 7 weeks with, community members, and to just kind of discuss them and like create their plan. We provide a free workbook, and it just goes through all of those things. And so that they can have everything in one place, to discuss with their family members. I did the 10-hour train the trainer training back in April, as well as, of course, delivered just that mini kind of excerpt from it on advanced medical and legal directives. And I'm scheduled to co-facilitate this in July and August. I don't think I asked Amy to print this out yet, but I know we have flyers and you'll probably see them around the community. Happy to print them out and hand deliver them to you if you have anybody that you want to share it with, or if you would like to participate. Just making shameless plugs here. Aging Mastery is another program that, I'm hoping, I've been talking with Melissa at ADRC about collaborating on this, when would be a good time to deliver it. And right now we have tentative plans to deliver this in the fall, which I may or may not be co-facilitating this. It's a 10-week program. It's robust. It covers, you can see here, lots of topics that are super important for any age, but especially, to aging well. So exercise, nutrition, finances, advanced care planning, community engagement, and healthy relationships. So yeah, that is something that is on the docket. Another program I was discussing with Melissa at the ADRC, as well as the Caregiver Coalition folks, was possibly co-facilitating powerful tools for caregivers. This you have to co-facilitate. You can see here, this was put out, I think, by Iowa State University, their extension program. There is a fee for it. Talk to ADRC about, potentially collaborating on that part too. But we talked about maybe delivering this sometime in the spring, when ADRC is, I believe, going to be on its own for Waupaca County. It's an evidence-based program. This is one to provide caregivers with tools they need for self-care, which is so important when you're caring for somebody else, especially, at the end of their lives. So yeah, that's something that we're really looking forward to. So going back to the results of my environmental scan and those needs I mentioned, and keeping in mind target outcomes, like even though falls came up a lot, I'm not doing a fall prevention program, just part of, Aging Mastery somewhere in there. My core program recommendations for the county are Planning Ahead. That's the end of life planning one that covers both lifespan and financial security target outcomes. Aging Mastery, and it's covering mostly lifespan, but I do believe it has a week on advanced medical and legal directives as well. Powerful tools for caregivers, which is really focused on that caregiver education support and support, in aging well. Other programs and efforts, which are more on the financial security side, my secondary part, are Rent Smart. That's one that my predecessor, Sandy Liang, who I had the opportunity to meet with a couple of weeks ago. She delivered at some of the warming shelters over in New London, I believe in Clintonville, and said, just really good response. The audience there, they need to attend the classes. But she just got really good feedback and was really able to, I think, move the needle and stuff on another topic that's really important. Being able, Rent Smart is just basically about having those basic skills to rent, to be savvy renter, if you will. Renting's not as easy as it should be, for better or for worse. So yeah, that's a program we've talked about delivering. I've talked with Chris about delivering. It's just so it is offered ongoing virtually in various counties. So there's always some sort of Rent Smart program running. And I think there is one right now. The Train the Trainer training for that is in July, and I'm hoping to attend. Encouraging Financial Conversations is another financial security program. And what that is basically training for, say, like social workers or other professionals who would have a need for kind of like those basics for financial, financial security, how to have those conversations with their clients and whatnot. So that's one that's also, it's kind of back burner right now, but we're interested in. And then lastly, I just threw this on here to say that there are self-study, resources and stuff on the UW-Madison Extension website under the financial security page. So certainly, even if I'm not delivering direct financial education, there are resources I can be pointing people to in the community. And I think that is it. Sorry, I was going kind of fast. I was trying to do it in 15 minutes because that's all Chris said I had. But yeah, that is what I welcome any questions. Oh, and I can go off screen share too unless you need to look at a slide again. Any questions about, did I break down lifespan and financial security okay? Because I feel like that was a real point of confusion, both for myself. I mean, I saw it on the job description, I understood it, but I think in the community, even when I talked to county and municipal representatives, a lot of people didn't know that term. When I talked to my program manager for it at UW, she said, oh, it's within academic circles. Because normally you say, oh, the span of our lives, we're thinking, oh, from when the time we're born or conceived to the time that we die. So yeah, I've just been trying to wrap my mind around both what the definition is and then how to convey to people, you know, that it's not just targeting a certain age group, but it's trying to meet these target outcomes, you know, so hopefully that part was clear.
A lot of work in a short amount of time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh yeah, it could always be more, but thank you. Yeah, no, we have such dedicated folks. I mean, I don't want to whatever wax poetic about it, but extension's been great. Everybody in the Waupaca office is super dedicated. You know, I feel blessed, you know, just to have find myself among a group of people like this. And then to meet with every county stakeholder I met with or municipal stakeholder, everybody cares so much. You know, and there's so much unmet need. And I think that's probably my biggest challenge right now is that I want to do it all. And I know I can't, you know, and especially kind of got to stay in my lane to a certain extent, but a lot of seniors with a lot of diverse needs. And I think that technology piece is just so huge. So I really hope that community development position sticks around. I hope Amy does great things in it right now, you know, and I know Jessica's doing her special projects, state level stuff with broadband, but I mean, I think we need to get more people dialed in, you know, well, that's an old school way of saying it, wireless in or whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm open to feedback too. If you guys have feedback on the programming that I talked about and there's anything that resonates or anything that doesn't, you know, that you're like, oh, I'm not sure if that's really meeting senior needs and the way we expected, you know, as a committee, or just as individuals in the communities with, you know, your own needs and your family's needs, please do let me know. Because I feel like that's kind of always evolving, you know, open for conversations. How can we better meet our community members' needs? So yeah, I mean, my email's on the presentation. You know where to find me. Thanks, everybody. And I don't know if Chris mentioned at the beginning, but I'm going down to Madison today for a Human Development and Relationships Institute conference. That's my parent institute for lifespan and financial security programming. So I'm going to jump off now. If you don't have questions, you should ask questions if you want to keep me. No questions. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. It's nice to see your smiling faces, even from kind of far away here, but have yourselves a great day and enjoy this weird weather we're having today.
Drive safe, Tiffany.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any outreach, education, or program reminders or announcements for staff?
We have a couple.
I had, do you guys want to, or,
Oh, it doesn't matter. You go ahead.
I had just wanted to share, that, I did, well, first of all, 2 weeks ago, I was in Kentucky for a conference, and that was very good. A lot of great sessions that I had gone to, and also taught a session with a colleague from Oconto County. And that was the National Extension Conference on Volunteerism. And so my role is really a volunteer manager with the 4-H program and being the 4-H educator. And I had never gone to that conference before. It had been mentioned multiple times to me. And I had never gone. And so this year presenting was a good opportunity to participate and met some really, great people from other states, and it was good to go. And then the other thing, one other thing before I talk about my awards, just this is the 150th year of the fair. I don't remember if I said that on my last report. So I am working with some of the fair board members, along with some Mary Jane Bayman is from Waupaca. She's the Historical Society person in Waupaca. They have like the Wolf River Art League is working on a mural. They met with, I don't know if any of you are on the Parks Committee. Are you, okay, so somebody had met with the Parks Committee, you know, about, because that's not my role. I think Rich Lidke had come to the Parks Committee meeting. They're going to work with the Parks Department to make the old open class building look nice again. It's the oldest like little white building next to the youth building. That's their hope to have as kind of a museum, I guess, for any historical things. And the Wolf River Art League, Carol Hebel, was actually a neighbor. I didn't know she was in the Wolf River Art League, but she emailed me. They're going to be working on a mural for the side of that building. And so there's a number of things the Fair Board has planned. I'm not involved in a lot of those. I am working with some youth and helping, we're going to make a 4-H, like a historical 4-H display. And we have, I have a box with a lot of old photos from the fair, and we might make up a board that's like, you know, guess who these people are, because like we don't know who they are. So we'd like somebody to tell us who they are. So, or like, you know, identify people in these photos. And I am also helping with, oh, and I should have brought it in. The timeline for the fair. I have a young person last year. I have his binder in my office. If anybody's interested, if you want to stop in after the meeting, he did a really, really nice job on a history of the county fair last summer. That was his independent. We have this, it's called self-determined 4-H project, where you can choose just something of interest. And he chose to do a history of the county fair. And he did a lot of research and put together just a really nice binder of the history of the fair. And so we're using, you know, some of the information he had found, but I'm working with Hannah from the Fair Board. She is the ag teacher here in Waupaca, and helping with that timeline of the fair. And so that's moving forward, and the fair has a number of other plans. They've invited the governor, they've invited like the Secretary of Ag. I mean, I don't know who might show up from the invitations they made, you know, it kind of depends on schedules, but their hope is to have a really nice turnout this year for that 150th. So I will continue to be just on that committee with them. But yeah, they have a lot of different things that they are talking about. And then the other thing that I had wanted to share at one of the conferences I was at the week before I was in Kentucky is our professional association. So each of us educators, it's food-wise, I'm sorry, it doesn't specifically have one, but community development, agriculture, Tiffany's program area, and my program area, there's a professional association you can join. And ours is the Wisconsin Association of Extension 4-H Youth Development Professionals. So it's a very long title. And I'll just pass this around. I'm on chair of the awards committee, and then also we can apply for awards. And so this year I was recognized and had just wanted to share, I worked with the other 4-H educators in our area. So Appleton or Outagamie, Winnebago, and Calumet County, we did an art retreat. And so we got an award for our art retreat that we did. That was chosen for the state winner. And also the presentation that I did in Kentucky, that group, we were also presented with an award for the work that we did in professional development with that. And then I've been here, well, now it's 26 years, but this is what I received. I received a clock for 25 years of service. And So I had just wanted to share that, last week was actually 26 years that I've been here in extension, and so there's a write-up I put in there along with just all of the awards that we have and everything, and so I received awards and I helped do that whole banquet of the award selection and recognition. And these awards now, when we win at the state level, they are forwarded for competition at the regional level, which would be like the winner from for this art retreat, for example. We now will be competing against the winner in Minnesota and Illinois and stuff. And then the winner from that becomes a national winner. The 25 years of service, that is automatically I didn't really have to fill out an award. It's just, I made it 25 years, but this is something that is recognized at the national level. So I will be going to Pennsylvania in the fall to the national meeting and being recognized along with others in the country that have 25 years in youth development and within extension. So it was fun, and I had just wanted to share those accomplishments. So we have the opportunity to apply for those awards and be recognized for work that we do, and so it's a good thing to be able to share that.
Hey, are you ever home? Because when I'm in, there is no way that I could keep up with you. You are a busy lady.
I am home some.
Well, thank you for all that you do, because it's very amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And it is a balancing act. And so for myself, a lot of the things that I do are with young people and adults who generally work during the day. So there are evening meetings, and but it is, a lot of this stuff is things that I do work on during the day, but I do try and, we try and balance if it's a night or two a week or a day on the weekend. Last night I had a counselor training Zoom for an hour, which was nice because I was able to do that at home. So Zoom has helped with some of that time out of the house. You don't have the travel time to the meeting and, coming home again. So that's nice. Except I always have my children sitting there and I'll say something on the microphone and they'll be answering me. And I'm like, you're the ones we're supposed to be answering. It's it's the people on the Zoom, but so no, it's good. So yes, that's what I have wanted to share.
And I can share just a little bit about me. I realized last time we met about 3 weeks ago, I didn't give you a whole lot of background about me. So I figured I would take that time to do it now. So I have lived in Waupaca County for 12 years already. Doesn't seem like it's been that long. The area has really grown on me, and I've come to really appreciate the culture and just the sense of community here. It's been just a really great experience. I've been working for the county for extension for about 4 years. It'll be 4 years at the end of the month. And that's been a great experience. I've been providing program support for essentially the whole office, but more targeted support for community development and agriculture. So overall, like I said, it's been just a very positive experience. During the same time, I was very busy earning my bachelor's degree full-time. So I would essentially, yes, thank you. I would essentially wake up, do some work, come to work here, and then after work, I would go home and do more work. So that's pretty much what my life, it was rough. So that's what my life has consisted of for the last 4 years. And I actually graduated this past weekend. We just got back from our ceremony and it was fantastic. And again, my degree is in health and wellness management, my bachelor's of science. So part of my degree program was an internship, and I did that actually with Living the Waupaca Way, which Haley and Christy are part of. So that was a really awesome experience. It gave me a lot of practical experience and I was able to apply a lot of the things that I learned directly. So a lot of that had to do with marketing, communications, promoting health and well-being initiatives. One of the biggest ones was helping to coordinate the farm to table dinner, which we had talked about a few months ago back in September or October. So that was really great. And so basically, if that tells you anything about me, it's that I am not afraid of a challenge, which I've demonstrated I can do a lot with a little, and I'm excited to see what I can do over the next few months. So with that being said, just to kind of echo what Tiffany had been saying, connecting with those community stakeholders is really important to me. So, I'm kind of looking to you guys know the place that you represent the best and the community needs. So I'm an open door. So if you ever have any suggestions or if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll do my best to answer. One thing that I did recently was the Towns Association meeting. So I had actually helped coordinate those alongside Jessica for the last 4 years, and I had never gotten to attend one. So that was my first time attending one. I feel like it went really well. We had a few speakers. We were able to listen to Jess Betts Nelson with the Waupaca Catch a Ride and the various initiatives that they're doing. So that's been a really great help for the community. So I guess the next few months I'll be focusing on just connecting with community partners, stakeholders, determining needs, specifically towards the Leadership Waupaca County program. So just really finding out what the needs and the wants are so that we can continue to provide relevant programming in that area. So that's pretty much what I have. Do you guys have any questions? Awesome. Like I said, I'm an open door, so just let me know if you ever want to chat. Do you have any updates?
We've got a lot going on as well, but I don't want to, these ladies have had a lot going on and nothing that you haven't heard from us, so. Just what they've shared, yeah. You'll hear more about what we're doing, I'm sure, next month or 2 months from now.
I could just real quick, one other really exciting thing, in about a half hour, Macy Popple will be starting as my summer limited term 4-H program assistant. So I forgot to share that. She's coming in about 10:30 today. So I'm excited about that, and she'll be here. We have a certain amount of money that was in the budget, and so it's about half time and can go through like September, at wherever we end up with that amount of money that we have. But generally it's a summer limited term 4-H program assistant. So I'm excited she'll be coming in.
Yeah, college student.
She is a little older than a college student.
Okay.
She also works in town here at, she actually works at Quick Trip here in town. Her mom and dad were 4-H volunteers. She was in 4-H, her brothers were in 4-H. Her mom and her brother actually went through Leadership Waupaca County that Amy had mentioned last year or the year before. One of the most recent classes, I forget, but so yes, she is a young person, but last year Katie was in college. She was a junior, and so Macy is a little bit older than Katie was, but so yep, she'll be here for the summer, and will potentially, be able to do into that. We plan the position description that it could be like into September or October to help with re-enrollment time, 4-H promotion. That's all our busy end of the year and start of the year at the same time in the fall.
I will just throw one thing out, only because it's including Penny in 4-H, and just to maximize that comment about how much Penny does and when does she sleep. And the fact that she's bringing on Macy or that position. We are collaborating with several community partners this summer. We may have mentioned it already, or you saw it in a report, to bring the children's garden, the Master Gardeners Children's Garden program to a new location this summer, to the community garden that Haley and myself and Foodwise have been helping to kind of recreate or reinvent with the coalition that we're a part of. We're creating an opportunity for kids to participate in a children's garden program. But then in addition to that, on the same days that this garden program is happening, the first 45 minutes or so is just strictly garden program, where the kids participating in the garden program will be in their own gardens, maintaining, harvesting, weeding, etc. And that's a 9-week program. But then we're piggybacking off of that, and we're collaborating with the public library, 4-H, the Arts Hub, Foodwise will be present, Master Gardeners, and a couple other fun little visitors throughout the summer to host, like, open to the public story time. We're marketing it as story time at the garden, but then there's going to be an activity or a craft or something. And Penny, we kind of looped her in, and she is either going to be yourself, or I'm assuming Macy will be coming to do crafts. So seed mosaics is one of them on the day that we're talking about seeds, and Foodwise will highlight the part of the plant that's a seed that we consume. And then they're going to do a craft revolving around seeds. I mean, you name the theme, and 4-H has got a craft to go along with it. So then I just love Penny's suggestion to go along with because the kids in this garden program may have never gardened before, may know nothing about gardening, or they may have a lot of experience. They may or may not be in 4-H. We actually were able to highlight this program or promote it in the 4-H newsletter. And we have a 4-H family who signed up to participate in the garden program, which is really exciting for just the opportunities, again, to cross collaborate or promote our programs. And so Penny had suggested at the end of the garden series, one of the last days is a opportunity where Penny and 4-H will come back, and they're going to talk about, if you were to be in 4-H, this is how you could prepare some of the things that you've grown this summer for the fair. Also, just an opportunity to learn more about 4-H. If you were to join, this is an opportunity. You can enter this in, and I guess if you're not in 4-H, you could enter something that you've grown into the open class category in the fair, and then inviting the fairest of the fair to attend our last garden program to have a mini judging of the kiddos. They get to play in their garden, so they can plant produce, flowers, and then Foodwise is actually a part of that as well. So just a really cool cross programming opportunity throughout the summer. So I'm excited to share more at the end of the summer and how it went.
And so the food you're gonna give to the little food pantry or something, do any of the kids get to bring home anything that they grow, like carrots or whatever?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, the kids participating in the children's garden program, they plant their own 10 by 10 square foot garden. And that's all of theirs to do what they choose with. If they choose to want to donate some of that to the pantry, they can. But then the garden actually has 4 raised beds that are just the community gardens. Those kids will also help maintain that, but we have some volunteers within the coalition that will mostly be maintaining those garden beds and then delivering to the free little pantry at the public library. Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity to educate the kids on the fact that this produce that you are growing is yours to do what you want with. And the hope is that we're increasing kind of food access with those kids, but also, like, you know, there may be other community members who need it. And if you grew something that you don't need right now, there's a place for you to donate it.
Okay, does anybody else have anything, or? Yes, I look for a motion to adjourn.
Where's Ken when you need it?
Okay, we are adjourned.
Oh, yeah, wait, no meeting in June?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
July 24th is the next meeting.
Yeah, that was as a group, we had decided, that was a good one to take off. Partially because of vacations and other pieces, and yeah. So yes, July 24th.
July 24th.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys. That's a really nice looking spot.
Thank you. Yes, I
Some of
have
them are
it.
so big that you don't really know where to put them.
Yeah.
Perfect size.
I have it right next to my computer, so I could, because actually the time on my phone, like the county
Actually will
phone is
make
off
that.
by months and hours. I don't know, like.
Yeah.
It says it's
Kind of part of
January.
my.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
why that is, but.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, then it seems like it's.
Something, the question.
I did appreciate her presentation. Because I thought it was really good. She was talking.
Yeah. No, it's
Questions that we can.
hard. It looks too
Let's set it
right?
back.
It's like.
Okay, so, yeah, nobody's heard anything.
You're
No preliminary. I know.
Chris.
It's like,
You might be coming up to your area.
Well, and I think one of the things that